Nathan Sparks here for Cityview TV with Maurice Guinn to discuss bankruptcy. Good afternoon, how are you?
Good afternoon, Nathan. I'm just fine.
Glad you could come in.
Glad I could be here.
So congratulations on being voted one of the top attorneys in bankruptcy area practice of law in our community.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Bankruptcy has become a very prevalent part of our local society with creditors having to fight really hard sometimes to protect their rights.
So, yes, sir. And actually the number of filings are down over the last 7 or 8 years. But in a lot of cases, most cases, creditors don't get paid anything. It's a no asset case, in Chapter 7 anyway.
This is because the creditors are unsecured.
Creditors are unsecured, and because the debtors don't have any assets that are not exempt that a Chapter 7 trustee can take and liquidate.
Now, what assets are exempt today?
An individual can exempt $10,000 in value of personal property. A 401k plan, an IRA plan will be exempt not from the claims of the United States or the state of Tennessee, but they'll be exempt from the claims of a general unsecured creditor. Your homestead, you have an exemption of $5,000 in value for an individual, $7,500 for a couple. It increases as someone is above the age of 62, but it doesn't get above $20,000. For individuals who have minors that are dependents living with them, a husband and wife could each have a $25,000 exemption. So your maximum homestead exemption in Tennessee is only $50,000, whereas there are other states it's considerably higher, or in some states such as Florida, it's unlimited. I mean, you could have a half-acre property with a $100 million dwelling value on it. And,
wow.
And you could exempt that in Florida.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I think that was the reason that Mrs. Sonia Butcher moved to Florida in about 1985. That was a long time ago, but those were interesting cases.
They were. So creditors today locally, I see a lot of business people who don't seem to really work to protect any of their debts at all.
Nathan, one of the most frustrating things to me as a Chapter 7 trustee, I would liquidate assets, I would have money to pay creditors' claims, and creditors would not file claims. Now, some might file a claim in a case, and I give a notice to creditors, a written notice, that if you have an opportunity to file a claim, I can pay your claim in full, perhaps.
Really?
Or maybe a percentage. And then those creditors would not file a claim. That money goes back to the debtor.
I can't imagine that being the case, but I believe you.
Well, it's very frustrating to do the work, and then you return the money from the liquidation of an asset to the debtor because creditors didn't file claims.
Now, on the debtor side, there's 2 types of bankruptcy available, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13?
Chapter 7 and Chapter 13, but also Chapter 11 and 12, but you're going to have very few cases in 11 or 12. A 12 is for family farmer, family fisherman. I have a few cases like that in the Eastern District of Tennessee. I've never filed one. Chapter 11 is a reorganization. It can be for a business or for an individual, but it's usually going to involve, considerably more assets, considerably more debt. A Chapter 11 is like a Chapter 13, which Chapter 13 is for individuals with regular income who want to pay something back to their creditors. I mean, their plan may propose 10 cents on a dollar, it may be 50 cents on a dollar, 100 cents on a dollar, depends on their disposable income. It will have about as many Chapter 13s being filed in the Eastern District of Tennessee now as Chapter 7 cases. Chapter 7, that's just liquidation. Some people refer to it as straight bankruptcy. It's, here are my assets, here are my creditors, here's what I claim is exempt. I'm just looking for a fresh financial start. If the trustee can liquidate something and pay creditors, they'll get that, but the debtors are not going to be making a payment through the bankruptcy court or to a bankruptcy trustee. But a Chapter 11 is like a 13 with lots more hurdles to go through than in a 13. And then there's a Chapter 9 for a municipality. I think like the city of Detroit filed Chapter 9 some years ago. In the Eastern District of Tennessee, I can remember one Chapter 9 case I was involved in 30 years.
Yeah, it's not very frequent down here.
No, it's very infrequent. That was a utility district.
How about that? So what's your number one recommendation to creditors in order to protect their debts?
Well, if we're already in bankruptcy, it's going to be to file the claim. But if they're deciding whether to make the loan, look at the ability and the character of the person to whom they're making the loan.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome, sir.